Right lads, PlayStation 2. Who wants that? Shit. Well, seeing as everybody in the early 2000s obviously couldn't pick the right console, I'm going to tell you about the true king of the 6th generation. Developed by 4 engineers on Microsoft's DirectX team, the Xbox was created from primarily PC architecture and was launched to directly challenge the PS2 and its hold in the console market at the time. The console was announced in March of 2000, but was officially unveiled to the public at E3 2001 by The Rock himself and of course Bill Gates. The console itself hosted many features, more power than its competitors, internal storage, and most importantly internet access, which meant online play. The Xbox launched on the 15th of November 2001 in North America, February 22nd 2002 in Japan, and March 14th 2002 in Australia, Europe and the rest of the world. The console launched with a plethora of games: Fusion Frenzy, Project Gotham Racing, Dead or Alive 3, but none of these compared to the culture shock that was Halo Combat Evolved. This game really sold most people on the system, a unique first-person shooter with a great campaign, split-screen multiplayer with up to 4 people, and most notably LAN play with up to 16 players across 4 consoles, a feature unheard of up until this point. Now, as mentioned before, Xbox supported online multiplayer in the form of Xbox Live. Launched a year after the Xbox's initial release as a subscription-based service, it quickly reached 100,000 members in its first week. Now, Xbox Live wasn't the first of its kind, with Sony launching NetPlay in July of 2001 and Sega's short-lived SegaNet launched a year earlier in September. I wonder how that went. Yeah, SegaNet died off pretty quick, and although NetPlay was quite good, it required both an Ethernet adapter for your PS2 and just simply didn't compare to Xbox Live. The service was heavily supported by Microsoft, even receiving some questionable advertisement. A large number of Xbox games had Xbox Live enabled, denoted by this orange label on the front of the box and spine of the box. However, the primary game most people remember is of course Halo 2. Now, I wasn't around for the glory days of Halo 2. Frankly, I was too busy learning how to walk. But what I've heard is it was a great time to be an Xbox owner, not such a good time to be a PlayStation owner. This game had an incredibly dedicated community. So dedicated, in fact, that even in April 2010 when Xbox Live was shut down, a group of 24 Halo 2 players continued to play on until Microsoft eventually forced them offline. Now let's take a look at the console itself. The console is pretty plain, basically a box with a big X on it. I think the name kind of explains itself now. The console also includes a large logo, just in case you forget what console you're playing. The front of the console features 4 controller ports, nothing new, this was pretty much standard at this time. Like the PS2, the Xbox runs on DVDs rather than mini CDs like the GameCube, allowing full freedom for developers to make bigger and bolder games. The back is nothing special: AV port, power supply, and an Ethernet port to access Xbox Live. The console itself is quite big, being about the same size as the first gen Xbox One. This isn't a huge deal, but it does mean it can't be placed on its side like a PS2. The Xbox controller is pretty unique. Nothing game changing, but definitely different to anything before it. Originally the Xbox controller was this big lad, but instead I have the S model. It has analog triggers but no bumpers, instead having a black and white face button. The sticks are diagonally placed like on a GameCube controller, and we have an A, B, X and Y button in all different colours as our face buttons. The controller also features memory card slots rather than on the console, along with a huge Xbox logo which does nothing. The console's menu is very simple. We have memory where you can access your game saves as well as other content. Music lets you access any music downloaded on your console or play CDs. Xbox Live brings you to the Xbox Live setup screen where you can make your profile as well as set up your connection. And settings. What do you think it does? The Xbox continued to receive a large number of games throughout its lifetime, a lot of these being either shooters, RPGs or racing games. Of course Halo made its star here, along with franchises such as Fable and Forza. Large numbers of Star Wars games featured on the console such as Knights of the Old Republic, Republic Commando, Jedi Academy and the Battlefront games. The Tom Clancy games were also prevalent on the platform. Other notable third-party series to feature on the console included Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Simpsons Hit and Run, Sims, Counter-Strike, Tony Hawk Pro Skater and Need for Speed. When it comes to first-party options, there were some great first-party titles for the Xbox. Unfortunately, not as great as what Sony and Nintendo were offering. We have some solid titles here: Halo, Fable, Forza, Ninja Gaiden, Steel Battalion, and Conker's Live and Reloaded. Now, although all of these were very solid first-party titles, only Halo really had the capacity to offer competition to Nintendo's Mario and Sony's host of other first-party franchises. For a first forte, the Xbox did pretty well. if you don't look at the PS2's numbers. Unfortunately for Microsoft, Sony had simply taken the market and run with it. Releasing a year early really helped the PS2, as well as brand recognition along with a cheap price. Now that's not to say the Xbox was a failure, but it was really short-lived, serving as more of a proof of concept for Microsoft and a stepping stone towards the next big project, the Xbox 360, which served as a worthy opponent to Sony's PS3. Now if you look at the Xbox, it had one of the shortest lifespans of any big console, only being supported for 6 years with the last of the games arriving in 2007. However, the legacy of the Xbox continues to live on through the memories of those who had the privilege of playing it back then, along with people who still play it to this day, like myself. However, if you're looking for a cheap console nowadays with a large library of games, look no further than the Xbox. Or just do what any normal person does and buy a PS2.
Mm-hmm.